procedure. Please exit the building from the nearest exit and congregate by the cathedral. Now, I think you all know the rules, so let's go straight on to it, I think. So starting with green question 1 on city centre trees. This is from Councillor Edwards to Councillor Brown. Councillor Edwards, you've got 2 supplementaries, should you wish.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Brown, for your answers. Yeah, really comprehensive, and it does sound that a lot of work has been done trying to save the trees, but it doesn't look like that is possible at this time. So my first supplementary is that obviously, you know, we're unhappy that these trees are being lost, as a lot of people are, because mature trees are really vital to the city. And I just wonder if, like, looking at how the trees got to this point, if there's any lessons that you think we've learnt going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Yeah, I think the most important thing is that you need the right trees in the right places, and if you're planting them in containers, they need to be suitable and sustainable in those containers for their lifespan, rather than the container's lifespan or human lifespans.
Thank you. And my second one is, we actually did lose some trees this weekend, thanks to the storm and the winds, and I know a few in the centre, not those ones, but around have gone. And yeah, I just wondered, in your opinion, what we can do to sort of future-proof any new trees in any developments against what looks like more and more extreme weather conditions.
That's quite a big question. I mean, I think you know, in this area, the key thing is, you know, having things that are going to be safe and secure in the planters that are there. More broadly, I guess I'm not an a tree expert.
You're not a tree expert. No.
But you know, I think more broadly that there might well be lessons to learn about, you know, how we plant trees in a way that they can sustain, you know, and what types of trees we plant in a way that is going to be sustainable as the climate changes and as we see more frequent storm events, which is what we're expecting. And also, I guess, lessons for ongoing tree maintenance, like, you know, and ensuring that we can identify trees that are weak and need replaced ahead of any sort of storm events doing the job for us. That's not to say we always will, or indeed that it's always weak trees that get blown over, you know. But doing what we can to mitigate those risks is essential. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillor Blake isn't here, so if we move on then...
Lord Mayor, I'm told that he's just running a bit late. It's having difficulties with transport.
Okay, we'll come back to him if that's okay.
Come back to him if he arrives.
So we move on to Lib Dem question 1, which is traffic calming measures, from Councillor Gooch to Councillor Plowden. Councillor Gooch, you've got 1 supplementary.
Thank you, Councillor Plowden. I just thank you for your answer. I just wondered when we can expect to get reduced speed limits on the roads that are still 30 miles per hour that we want to reduce to 20, such as Camford Lane, which is very rapidly moving. Though we do note that the crossing campaign led by the Liberal Democrats is now being delivered, and this will help, but still we would very much like to reduce the speed limit to 20 miles an hour on that road.
Thanks for the question. What I've been working with the person sat on your left, Councillor Williams, to do is to ask all the area committees across Bristol to identify the roads they'd like to see made for 20 miles an hour, and then we'll work from there on. I think the next round of meetings of area committees is roughly in May, so I'm hoping I will be working to make sure that we make those meetings a success in the background before then, and definitely making sure that 20 mile an hour is on the agenda, so we're basing our decisions on sort of local intelligence.
Thank you. Let's move on to Conservative question 1, Stockwood Lane Road safety improvements, from Councillor Hucker for Councillor Plowden. Councillor Hucker, you've got 2 supplementaries.
No supplementaries, thank you. Thanks for your responses. You answered clearly and comprehensively. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So next we have green question 2 on council flights. That's from Councillor Russell for Councillor Dyer. Councillor Russell, you've got 2 supplementaries. Is Councillor Russell here? It appears not. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on to Labour question 2, which is on Parsons Street Station, from Councillor Clark to Councillor Plowden. Councillor Clark got 1 supplementary.
Thanks. I guess just, do you agree that step-free access should be a priority at Parsons Street?
What sort of access, sorry?
Step-free.
Yes. Yes, it is also a priority regionally to upgrade all of our 27 stations, as I mentioned. So yes, I do agree with that.
Okay, thank you very much. So next we've got Lib Dem question 2 on the bus fare cap. That's from Councillor Classic for Councillor Plowden. 1 supplementary, please. Oh, okay, let's move on then. So Conservative question 2 is the new area committee structure. It's Councillor Morris, also not here, I believe. Okay, we'll leave that one. Green question 3 on blocked drains. That's from Councillor Townsend, who is here, and that's for Councillor Fodor. And there's 1 supplementary, please.
Yeah, have you got a timeline?
I don't have that information at the moment. I apologise, and I shall try and get that to you.
Thank you very much. Short and sweet. So next we've got Labour question 3 on libraries, and that's from Councillor Self to Councillor Williams. 1 supplementary, Councillor Self.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. It's good news that we've made progress with recruitment to our libraries. Well done. I just want to know, will all our staff have a job after the budget next year?
Well, Lord Mayor's Council Self knows the budget is the responsibility of all of us, all 70 councillors at the budget meeting in February. We're all formulating our proposals at the moment, and I'm sure we will try to make sure that as many staff positions as possible are protected, but such is the parlous financial position of the council, it would be reckless to make cast iron guarantees to absolutely everybody at this moment. But going back to our actual question, I should remind her that the position we inherited when this administration came in is that a quarter of library staff positions were vacant, 25% of the staff, that's 40 vacancies were unfilled. We've worked hard. Kate Murray, the head of libraries, has worked hard to get that down to normal operational levels at the moment, where there are occasionally vacancies to be filled. So a lot of progress has been made in making the libraries, on the days that they're open and on the hours that they're open, staffed and accessible to our citizens.
Thank you very much. Lib Dem question 3, residence parking zones. That's back to Councillor Williams, and that's for Councillor Plowden. 1 supplementary, please.
Yes. Turning things around. Thank you for the answer, Ed. As you will know, I and my colleagues are enthusiasts for residence parking zones. They were a manifesto commitment of the Liberal Democrats going all the way back to the 1990s. We started introducing them in 2009 in St Paul's in Kingsdown. Then Mayor Ferguson rolled them out in Clifton, Cottam and Redland. But Mayor Rees, catastrophically, I think in 2016, halted them, which has caused great inconvenience for residents in my now ward in Westbury Park, but also in St Andrews and Bishopston as well. Will Councillor Plowden undertake to expedite as much as he can with his Task and Finish group to continue that delayed rollout of residence parking, particularly in areas where we're now going to start charging in district car parks such as Westbury Village and the Downs?
So I think we need to take our time to get the Task and Finish group right, but I do, and I think I'm very mindful of what Don Alexander has said frequently, that we've got to think very carefully before, I think your phrase was, we privatise the curbside. We need to think very carefully about what we want the curbside to look like and feel like. So I think we need to take our time to get a holistic parking strategy in place. Having said that, I have said that I don't think we should wait until the entire completion of the Task and Finish group before we maybe bring things back to the committee and start making progress on things like residence parking. And I completely agree with you that we do need to crack on, because my ward also is very badly affected, being within very easy walking distance of the city centre, and with a huge number of extra buildings being built with very low amounts of parking, that we really need to protect the existing residents.
Thank you. So now Conservative question 3, parking and curbside policy and strategy. That's Councillor Weston to Councillor Plowden again. 2 supplementaries, Councillor Weston.
Thank you. It would be no shock to colleagues that I come from a slightly more sceptical approach to residence parking zones. Thank God you're all sat down for that one. My question then, building on a theme, when the parking strategy and the parking work group is meeting, can you give me some assurances that you'll take into account local demand and local requirements? Because my area does not want residence parking zones, but is concerned about some on-street parking when the cars block pavements and everything else. So will there be a one-size-fits-all, or will you be taking a more localised approach?
I think we have to come up with a holistic strategy, as I said before, and I don't think that necessarily means a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, thank you very much. Second question, when it comes to parking on pavements, some areas of the country have trialled it where they've actually put a line on the pavement, because some of our estates are 40s, they were built before widespread car ownership, very narrow, etc. So to park a car at all, they curb a wheel. Will you consider bringing in the idea where you put a line on the pavement where the car can park to the line, any over is an offence, but to that line does at least allow some modicum?
I think it's an extremely sensible suggestion which we should consider, and again, exactly to echo your first question, we need to do that on a case-by-case approach and not a kind of one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, green question 4 on weed control. That's from Councillor Townsend to Councillor Fodor. 1 supplementary, please, Councillor Townsend. Yep.
Sorry, I completely missed that. Which one was it?
It's on weed control. Do you have a supplementary for Councillor Fodor?
No, thanks. That's fine.
Thank you very much. So next is Labour question 4 on Brislington Meadows, and that's Councillor Ripperton, Councillor Dyer. Councillor Ripperton, you've got 1 supplementary.
Yes, thanks, Lord Mayor. Thank you for the officer response. I'm just wondering, we all know the past history of the Meadows. Homes England has a lot of involvement in housing in the city, and I'm wondering whether your administration is continuing to have a dialogue with them about Brislington Meadows, and whether any further progress can be made to protect some of that very important environment whilst building houses on the brownfield site, perhaps.
Yes, we continue to have a dialogue with Homes England. As you may be aware, the current CEO of Homes England is shortly to leave. There will therefore be a replacement CEO, and obviously Homes England reporting to what is now a new government, so we have different alternative routes to take.
Thank you very much. So next is Lib Dem question 4, utility maintenance and traffic diversion. That's Councillor Clark to Councillor Plowden. 1 supplementary, please.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Ed, you might as well just stay standing up, I think, because you've had so many, haven't you, today? Thank you. Yes, it is, isn't it? Yeah, thanks for your response. To your final point, to myself and Councillor Varney, we would really appreciate a meeting with officers to discuss what went wrong and how we could have managed it better in the future with Wales and West and any of the other utilities. So that's just a response to your response. My supplementary is, can you assure myself and the residents of Brislington that the council will liaise more closely with the utilities to ensure that another area of Bristol does not have to suffer in the same way that Sandy Park has? It's not me.
If you turn your mic off, Councillor Clark.
One of the things that you completely put me off now. I'm going to get the giggles. One of the things that I've asked for our forward plan at the meeting last week, where we started looking at how the forward plan for committees, is to think about how we manage disruption on our network, particularly in 2026. We know that the City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement funding is going to hit the ground, and we've got hundreds of millions of pounds worth of work to do in this city, and so it's going to be a real challenge. And so I have asked for officers to be thinking about just looking at our policy and seeing what we can do to update our policy to manage disruption during roadworks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Councillor Eddy isn't here, so we'll move on to green question 5 on fly tipping. That's Councillor Breyer for Councillor Fodor. One supplementary, please, Councillor Breyer.
No supplementary questions.
Thank you very much. So next we've got Labour question 5 on Hengrove Leisure Centre. That's Councillor Blake as well. He's still not here. Okay, I'll hold that one back. So we go to Lib Dem question 5 on Arnos Court Park Path. That's Councillor Clark to Councillor Williams. Councillor Clark, one supplementary.
Okay.
Don't wear those nylon knickers again, please, Councillor Clark.
Sorry. Thank you.
Try using that one.
Yeah, but okay, I'll try using that one. Thank you, Councillor, for your response. As you're aware that we've been waiting for this path to be completed since 2021, we met with officers on site last year to discuss how the council were going to sort out the mess of the previous iteration of this path in Arnosville Park. I understand that work's going to be starting within the next few months. Can I ask that officers work with us as the client and discuss with us what they are proposing to do at this time so that we can ensure that the community gets what it's expecting and what it's paid for? Thank you.
I thank my colleague with all her static energy for putting that question. It's a more polite version of how she described it. The work is actually going to start, I hope, in the next 4 weeks, so imminently. So plans quite clearly have been drawn up. I see no reason why those plans could not be shared with her and whoever she wishes to discuss them with. So I'll ask the head of clerks, Mr. Fletcher, to arrange a meeting with you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So Conservative question 5, section 106 monies. That's Councillor Galandras to Councillor Dyer. One supplementary, please.
Thanks, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Tony, for the response. We had a not entirely dissimilar situation in my ward where BT, of their own volition, very kindly planted 30 trees as a goodwill gesture. They didn't have to, but they did. And I just wonder here, have we actually asked Lidl whether they might be willing to leave that £40,000 with the council for other types of works as a gesture of goodwill?
Thank you, Councillor Galandras. That's a very good suggestion. I'll ask whether that approach has been made, because it would be a very good sign of goodwill on behalf of the developer. But I think it also highlights why we have to move as quickly as possible when spending seal monies, because I think sometimes councillors are not aware that often it is time limited. But I will take up the suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you very much. So Councillor Goggin and Councillor Coombs are not here. So let's move on to Conservative question 6 on Bristol Waste and Councillor Galandras again, and this is for Councillor Fodor, one supplementary.
It's me again. Thank you for your answer, Martin. I think we have a situation now where we're getting a lot more reports of missed collections. So I think the old system worked when we had just a small number, but I've got a feeling we're going to have to look at how we actually log complaints. I think we need more flexibility. I don't know if that's something that you're looking at the moment.
Yes, thank you for that point. We've been seeking to upgrade the council reporting page on the website for some time. Unfortunately, there appear to be licensing delays and costs around that. I do hope we will be able to achieve that to make it simpler and more straightforward. But what matters most of all is that we continue the improvement towards more reliable collections, because that's the real outcome we want, that everyone gets the collection when they're meant to get it. And we've been working very closely with Bristol Waste through the contract manager to try and do that.
Thank you very much. So Councillor Renard and also Councillor Michelat is not here. So let's move to Labour question 8 on streetlight brightness. That's on Councillor Clark for Councillor Plowden. One supplementary, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks for the response. I guess my follow-up is just how should residents raise requests now, and in the future will that change? Will there be a different process, and will there be, I guess, a clear process for residents to make those requests?
To be quite honest, I don't know, and I'll get back to you on that. I think maybe this would be a good thing. We've got suggest a street improvement, which is a map where you can click on, and I think this would be a really good thing to add, just an extra thing. Can you, the street lighting, not just whether or not we need more, but whether or not we need the brightness adjusted. So that's something I'll take away. I'm going to make a note of it right now. as long as I can sit down for long enough.
So next is Lib Dem question 8, Ofwat and water company bosses bonuses. That's from Councillor Brown to Councillor Fodor. One supplementary, please.
I think you're looking for the reply first, which is up to me. Obviously, the relationship between the government and the regulator is one for them to deal with, and I hope they will be very firm on that. We don't have a position on bonuses, but certainly, as far as I'm concerned, Green Party policy is perfectly clear. We'd like to see the water industry in public hands, owned by the public for the public, and then this would not be an issue.
Thank you. No supplementaries.
Thank you very much. So Councillor Udin isn't here, so let's go back to Councillor Self, Labour question 9, sex matters, and that's a question from Councillor Townsend. One supplementary, please.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. No supplementary.
Thank you. Next is Labour question 10 on Redcliffe Wharf from Councillor Dudd to Councillor Dyer. One supplementary.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Obviously, this is a very important site. Thanks for the answer. Obviously, this has been going on a long time, almost 10 years now. We've clearly got a partner here that's failed to deliver over 10 years, and now, in response to your answer, it looks like they're not in a position to deliver anymore. So, in terms of reviewing our options, I assume one of them is ending any agreement we've got with them and looking to go out again with fresh options. And also, can we make sure that the Harbour Committee is fully briefed and consulted on this issue going forward? Thank you.
Thanks, Kai. Yeah, the options, all the options are on the table. As you said, this scheme has been a long time. I think they got planning permission in 2021. We are in a situation where we have 16,000 homes with planning permission in the city. Many of those are being delivered. Some of them are still subject to S106 conditions, but that also means we got quite a few such as like these that are not coming forward. And one of the things I got elected on was addressing to see if we can find a solution to those. And yes, given the location of Redcliffe Wharf, we're definitely involved the Harbour Committee and make sure they're kept well.
Thank you. I don't think Councillor Martin is here either. So if I can just go back to the beginning of the questions. Did Councillor Russell turn up? Yes, hi Councillor Russell. So you had a question, green question number 2 on council flights, and that was a question for Councillor Dye. You've got 2 supplementaries.
I don't have any supplementaries. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. And also I think Councillor Morris is in the room. So, Councillor Morris, your Conservative question 2 on new area committee structure. To Councillor Williams, you have 2 supplementaries if you wish.
Yeah, not necessary, thank you.
Okay, so let's go on to member statements. I'll take member statements in order of receipt. I remind members that a maximum of 1 minute will be allowed for the presentation of each statement. There will be no debate on the statements and they will be referred to the leader for consideration. The first statement from Councillor Breckles, who isn't here. Councillor Lisa Stone, you have the second statement. Councillor Stone, on ending furniture poverty, you have 1 minute to present your statement.
Yes, so thanks very much, and hopefully you read the statement, which was great. So basically my statement was just about ending furniture poverty. There's a huge amount of people, 1.2 million people actually are within furniture poverty. It's disproportionately affecting people in social housing. I'd like the council, to really look at how we can make sure that all of our social housing has carpets, if not new, which would be expensive, at least leave the carpets that are already there down so we don't pull them up, which is actually the position that we're in at the moment where this council has taken out carpets that are maybe threadbare, but reasonable for people to move in as long as they're clean, tidy and hoovered. I think that this is this is an amazing thing that we should be doing. Also, white goods, there's no reason why we can't train somebody up really quickly. It only costs about £150 to train somebody up portable appliance testing. We could be testing those white goods and leaving them in. Why not? Give them a quick clean, leave them in, and this will really remove furniture poverty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stone. So next is Councillor Macari on the removal of BT phone boxes. You've got 1 minute, please, Councillor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I rise to address the ongoing issue of outdated BT phones boxes across our city, which have sadly become more of a problem than a necessity. This structure once was vital for communication, now often serve as hotspot for antisocial behavior, including drugs use and dealing, public urination, and vandalism, such as graffiti and tagging. They are eyesore in our communities and contribute nothing to the safety of well-being of our residents. I urge the Council to work with BT and relevant stockholders to accelerate the removal of these upsteel phone boxes and restoring public space to ensure they are clean, safe, and fit for purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 2 good ideas so far. Let's move on to Councillor Rob Brower and East Bristol Liberal Neighbourhood, please.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Just wanted to draw attention to this statement, which is basically laying out a lot of the evidence base around livable neighbourhoods and low-traffic neighbourhoods. I think it's really important, as a council, we take an evidence-based approach to things. Research done on this subject has been pretty extensive. Obviously, hasn't been tested in Bristol so far, and we are now starting that experiment in a sense. But the actual research is showing that they're very positive. People find them popular, and people find they work to reduce traffic over an overall scheme area. So I think it's really important that we do look at what's happened in other places, figure out what works in Bristol. As we've already heard today, we don't want to have a one-size-fits-all approach, but we do need to look at where it's been successful, what lessons have been learned, and how we can make sure the East Bristol Livable Neighbourhood is a success. It's already been positively received by a lot of people, and I want us to be really careful to look at the evidence, because if we don't, we are condemned to repeat mistakes that have been made around these processes before. I think we can really be really positive about the fact that we've already seen a reduction in traffic in some of the roads, and look for how in the future we can change the scheme in line with what people say, and ensure that residents are heard, listened to, and that any good improvements are acted upon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is statement number 6 from Councillor McAllister.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I submitted a statement in support of the Liberal Democrat motion today, which backs the Climate and Nature Bill in Parliament currently. I think that the process that through which the bill is making its way through Westminster is a really good example of cross-party working, with representatives from all parties working together. And I think that's a really good lesson actually for us in Bristol, where all parties hold some administration positions. I studied climate science extensively, and it's that knowledge which compelled me to make this statement in support of another party's motion today. Climate change doesn't care about the colour we print onto our leaflets. Bristol's led on climate before. No one here will be tired of us Greens pointing out it was Carla Denyer who passed the first climate emergency declaration in Europe a few years ago, and Carla is now a proud co-proposer of the CAN bill. So let's continue working together on the climate, let's pass this motion, and let's continue our cross-party work to tackle the great challenge of our time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Plowden, statement number 7 on the Broadwalk development.
Thank you, my Lord Mayor. I'm delighted to see that there's now a legal agreement in place significantly to reduce the density of the proposed Broadwalk development. I'd like to thank the local community, led by Laura and Helen, who managed to challenge the abusive process in this very chamber that caused so much outrage in South Bristol. However, I'm concerned by reports in the media that the Labour Party plans to reduce the power and influence of local councils in controlling development in their area. Not content with imposing development targets and inspecting our local plan agreed through a cross-party process, it appears that the so-called devolution agenda is actually set to reduce the power of local councils to shape their cities in a democratically accountable way. Sadly, although the antics around this application process might on the face of it strengthen the case for such a move, a second look will show that the community fully appreciates the need for change and wishes to ensure that residents can play a part in ensuring it enhances rather than diminishes their neighbourhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Councillor Malik, statement number 8 on the Avon Pension Fund. Councillor Malik.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. The statement is before us, and I'm sure members have had a chance to read it. I'm just going to reflect on some of the matters seeks to address. While Bristol City Council does not directly invest in any companies involved, indirect exposure through the Avon Pension Fund raises important questions. The APF, part of the Brunel Pension Partnership, manages over £30 billion in pooled investments under strict legal binding constraints. It prioritises returns for pension members, but also puts significant efforts into applying environmental, social and governance ECG principles. However, these constraints often limit its ability to act on ethical issues and concerns such as investments in the arms trade. The Green Party councillor Fee Hance, who represents Bristol on the APF committee, has been pushing for transparency and accountability. She's met with campaigners, encouraged public input and explored how other councils have approached similar challenges. Yet, creating bespoke investment options have been legally blocked elsewhere, including in Islington and Manchester. While blanket investments...
If you could wrap it up now, please.
I will do, Lord Mayor. While blanket investments from the arms trade is not feasible under current rules, the APF must re-examine its holdings to ensure compliance with international law and the highest ECG standards. This is not about politics, my Lord Mayor. It's about ensuring public funds are not complicit in human rights violations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Finally, we've got Councillor Tim Y, a late entry, and it's on Gaye Delap. And sorry if I've got that pronunciation wrong.
I'm sure she wouldn't mind, don't worry. So yes, last Thursday, I was alerted to what I believe is a gross miscarriage of justice to a resident in Ashley Ward in Bristol, our city. Gaye Delap, a 77-year-old environmental protester, was sentenced to 20 months in prison for her part in the M25 process. Due to a number of issues, not least her health, she was released early on a home detention curfew. Incredulously, the tagging company have not been able to fit a tag, as there is not one small enough to fit on her wrist. Rather than look at creative ways around this, such as a daily registration with police, HM Prison Peterborough have ordered her to be returned to prison, and an arrest warrant has been issued despite Gay's compliance with all conditions. Both her Bristol MP Carla Denyer and Labour MP for Peterborough Prison Andrew Pakes are supporting Gay's cause. Not only is this unjust, as Gay is at no fault on this, it's not her fault, it just seems a monumental waste of resource when we know how overcrowded our prisons are. I would urge this council to do anything they can to support Gay in this unjust scenario. I've emailed and phoned HMP's prisons director, Ralph Lebukowski, and Lord Timpson, the prisons minister, to look at getting this decision reviewed. And I've got the contact details in the statement. She's got thrombosis, it can't fit on her ankle.
Thank you, Tim, for highlighting that important issue. So that concludes the statements and the meeting. So we'll meet again back in the same place at 2 o'clock. See you later.